Well, Russia had initially announced that it was opening up 5 humanitarian corridors. Now, the latest we are hearing is that under their proposal, they have offered to open up 10 humanitarian corridors. Kyiv has so far given the green light to one of them, and that is out of Sumy, keeping in mind that Ukraine had accused Moscow of targeting civilians as they try to flee certain areas in previous ceasefires. And Kyiv also had rejected Russia's offer, as the evacuation routes under their proposal meant that refugees had essentially needed to go to Russia or Russia's ally Belarus. So the evacuation of civilians is underway in Sumy. Buses with evacuees are now on the road and heading south to the central city of Poltava. That's 175 kilometers south. About 20 to 30 buses have now left the city, and according to Russian officials, 723 civilians have been evacuated, including 575 Indian nationals. There have been reports of an incident in Sumy. The buses were briefly stopped because of shooting when they were crossing one of the Ukrainian checkpoints. The head of the Sumy administration said there was sporadic fire, but it was not aimed at the buses. It is unclear if anyone was hurt during that incident, but it is underway. The evacuation is underway, and there have also been reports of people struggling to get to the area where they can take those buses before the end of the ceasefire later tonight. And just very quickly on Mariupol as well, there was another failed attempt at getting people out of that city in the south of the country. Kyiv accused Russia of shelling that humanitarian corridor it had promised to open up, and 30 buses were actually on the way to Mariupol, according to Ukrainian officials, and that's when the shelling began. And just as a reminder, hundreds of people have been trapped inside Mariupol without water, electricity, or food.
What about the fighting on the ground? What kind of advances has Russia been able to make?
Right. Let's pull up a map of Ukraine where you can see the different fronts in the country. You can see the northern front, mostly Kyiv, also the eastern front, Kharkiv, and the separatist regions of Luhansk and Donetsk, and then the southern front around Mariupol all the way to Mykolaiv. So Russian forces are ramping up bombardments across those areas. You see there Kharkiv, Mykolaiv. Several cities have come under intense shelling, including residential areas, and the civilian casualties continue to rise. And I do want to show you now another map of Kyiv and its surroundings, because Russian forces are now focusing on the capital, trying to beef up their presence around the capital, Kyiv. And so you see several cities there, Ostomel, Bucha, Irpin, and those are disputed cities where the fighting continues. And really what we hear is that Russian forces are likely completing preparations ahead of a potential assault from the east and the west in the next 2 to 4 days. So they're setting the conditions for an attack, regrouping troops, bringing elite teams as well, and attacking the outskirts of the city with air, artillery, and missile fires. And that's why you're seeing casualties and people fleeing out of those areas. That being said, the fact that they're regrouping around the capital, Kyiv, it does not mean that they are capturing more of Ukraine's territory, but they are preparing potentially for an assault. Let's zero in perhaps on the south of the country now, the southern front and the city of Mykolaiv. And I have another map here that I want to show you. And Russian troops, what we understand is that they seem to be feeling their way around Mykolaiv, possibly trying to find a way to bypass the city around the Bug River that you see there towards the Black Sea. And this would allow them essentially to bypass the city of Mykolaiv, a city of 500,000 100,000 people and continue pushing towards Odessa, Ukraine's main port city, connecting the country to the rest of the world. And if they achieve that, what could happen then, according to analysts, is that Russia would then be able to launch a coordinated attack on Odessa from the land, but also from the sea.
Okay, Valerie, there's a lot to digest there. Thanks so much, Valerie Dekimpe, reporting for us on the latest developments.